the latest episode of, I was going to say Died in the Forest, damn it, to the High Ground podcast. I do too many things. But yeah, this week we are talking all about the first phase of the High Republic. We've gotten some news about the next phase that will be coming out, but now that this is fully complete, like it's just been a wild about a period of time to be a Star Wars fan. I've had a lot of fun with all these books, so I'm going to bring on a bunch of awesome guests, and we're just going to dive in and talk about it right here on the High Ground. Hello, hello, and welcome. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah. So why don't we start out by introducing all of you guys are returning guests, but we'll go around and have you guys introduce yourself with who are you, where we can find your awesome content, and all the Jedi in the High Republic see the Force in a unique way. How do you see the Force? And anyone else in the chat, feel free to answer this question as well. Fun fact, good friend of the channel, Cal Forer, we actually became close friends because of his answer last time I asked this question.
Ooh.
That's how we got to know. He was just in the chat, and I was like, that was really cool. Like, message me on Instagram, and then we just became really good friends. But yeah, I'll go to Harith first.
Hi, I'm Harith Productions. You can find me on TikTok with the same username and on YouTube on the They Fly Now show. It's a podcast every Monday where I record with Carter and I. We talk about very different topics. Last week, we talked about the anthologies and why we love them. We had a great episode. It was probably our best episode since in a while. Awesome. And how I would view the Force is, I think I've answered this before. I think it was on Dyad last time we were talking about the High Republic Fallen Star non-spoilers. I think I said I viewed it like a camera lens where I focus the energy through the lens.
Oh, that's right. I was like, I don't think I've asked these guys before, but apparently we did ask you, but I still like it. Awesome. How about you, Gray?
I'm Gray. I'm on TikTok, Donna the Gray. And how I view the Force is that it amplifies your greatest inner anything. So if you're really good, or if you're really bad, or if you're only kind of bad, or if you're mischievous, I think that's what shapes what you're going to get from the Force.
Yes, and well, what I was more kind of looking for is, so in the High Republic, like we have Buryaga, who sees the Force as a big Rocher tree and on all the branches, and then we had Elzar Man, who saw it as an ocean, just a vast endless sea with all this depth and stuff. We were curious if there was anything that would kind of encapsulate how you think you would see it,
like a big luscious garden. That's how I like it. Plants everywhere, and you tend to it and it grows, or you neglect it and it doesn't, it rots away. I think a garden would be a good way to put it. I'm an avid gardener, so
that's really cool. I like that. That's the first I've heard that. Awesome. And how about you, Luke?
Hey guys, I'm Luke. I am one half of the Pod Ones podcast. We go live every Thursday talking about arcs of the Clone Wars. We had Chaco on last week to talk about Umbara. Had a fantastic time talking to you about that. And this week we've got Harith actually is going to be on with Mara J. Skywalker and Nada Kyber talking about the Zygerian indentured servant arc. It's a good arc. It's a good arc.
It's a great arc.
It is a good arc.
It is a very good arc.
One of my favorites.
You can follow me at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, and Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter. How I see the Force. So I see the Force as like a hallway of closed doors. There's many options. Sometimes the door will open, sometimes the door won't open. And if it opens, that you have the ability to whatever. It's just opening up to see what inside of the Force is trying to tell you. So that's how I would see the Force is always opening doors and closing doors and just seeing opportunities when you're ready to see the opportunities.
Okay, yeah, like you're running through an insane asylum.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Then a hippo shows up, and you're just like, okay, all right, cool, awesome.
I love it. I got Monty in the chat saying Elzar's description of the Forces is the best. It just acts. But if I saw it as Avar, it would be an ever evolving Benny diagram. I don't know what a Benny diagram is, so I will take your word for it. Maybe jot it down and look it up later. But me also being an avid musician, I do see it with I do see it as music, as a just a like whew, how do I explain it? There's a band called Explosions in the Sky. I'm not sure if any of y'all are familiar with them, but they're instrumental band, very melodic, and it would kind of be like that, where there's points of it that are complex. There are certain, maybe your tempo increases, maybe the intensity of the attack increases, or you know you have sustains and stuff, and I think that is the power. Sometimes you need it to be that powerful, sometimes it's really small.
Yep.
But it being small or powerful is not a bad thing. It's what it needs to be in that moment to get across what it needs to get across. Don't know if I can explain that any better. I should have. I should have worked on that.
No, like that
I like
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes a whole bunch of sense.
I understood what you're saying.
I feel that.
Awesome. All right. Well, coming into the High Republic, I mean, I want to find out, like, before this, were you guys avidly reading Star Wars books? When you heard about this Project Luminous, were you excited, or was it like oh, they're just trying to redo the old Republic, like shame on them? Or how did you feel, and what's your relationship kind of been with the Star Wars books? I guess I'll go to Gray first.
Oh, I love the books. So when Project Luminous was announced, I had already been through every single canon Star Wars book more than once, and a lot of them more than 5 times. I love the novels. It gets so much more in depth with everything. So I was very excited, and as I know nothing about Legends. Nothing. The most I know is some names of some Legends characters through my Galaxy of Heroes games. And so there was I didn't have any thing to be negative about because I didn't know the era at all. And so for me it's just been enjoyable from the start.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Same way, Gray. To be honest, I didn't know much about Legends except for Darth Plagueis, which is hands down my favorite.
I know all about him because I read the book.
Yeah, favorite Legends book is hands down Darth Plagueis. I do love that book. But when this was announced, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like it was right after they released it. They made that announcement right after The Rise of Skywalker had come out, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So their whole tagline was 150 years before the Skywalker saga. And I was like, ooh, interesting. We're going into a era that hasn't been touched. So it was new, fresh for me, and I've pretty much read every. I would say I've read. I think the count is up to 46 canon books.
Nice.
So I quite a bit of them. So I've been on top of it, from pretty much day one of Disney buying Lucasfilm and reading
Me
all the
too.
canon materials. So, yeah.
Nice. I can't quite say the same of myself. I didn't love the first Aftermath book, and I fell off
Yeah.
reading for a while.
I don't blame you. That book is hard.
Oh
to,
man,
like,
Aftermath
it's
is like my favorite trilogy.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
I can't. I love that trilogy.
and especially where it goes is amazing. And
Yes.
like Sinjir is like
Sinjir
a
is the
top
best.
tier character in my opinion.
Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones.
Yeah. It really
Nora.
does.
Snaps. Oh, I could just go on and on.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was funny because I stopped reading for a little bit of time, and then the book that came out alongside it was Lost Stars, and I eventually read that, and then that just like slingshot me into like, okay, I need to feel this more and more. I need that feeling again. I became like a drug addict, but
That's the best, that's the best
in
canon
a
book.
yeah, in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, that's the best canon book. Lost Stars for me.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh.
fair.
How about you, Harry?
Well, I have like the most interesting relationship with canon books. It's like I read Aftermath, the first 3 chapters when I was like 13, when Force Awakens was first coming out. Then I was like, it's not for me because again, I was like early high school, so I was just like, pass me by. Saw the Project Luminous announcement. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll wait for it to get in the shows. Then got more into the community. So you guys were reading Ahsoka around the same time, read Ahsoka, and I was like, oh, it's a good book, like whatever. And then I remember talking with like Cal and Element. They're like, have you read Light of the Jedi? And I'm like, no, I haven't. They're like, dude, you got to read it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're like, read the first 8 chapters and come back to me. And like that book just like instantly just hooked me into reading. And like ever since then, it's just been like that momentum has just carried me all the way up until now with all my readings, like of like 15 canon books.
It slaps. It freaking slaps. That's like the only like way to describe Light of the Jedi is like if you aren't hooked within the first 3 chapters, I don't know if you even have a pulse.
Light of the Jedi was my least favorite book from the High Republic.
That's because it's like
it's
you have to also you have
it's so much.
It is a lot, but like I was like holy shit, like there's things in hyperspace that are just falling apart. Like the hell is this?
Into the Dark was like that for me.
Oh, Into the Dark is just like it builds on lore. Like I feel like that book in particular builds on a lot of lore that is either we thought was legends, but now is kind of canon. Like the way they were able to intricate because we knew that there weren't going to be Sith in this whole era.
Yeah,
at least not in the first phase. We don't really know what we're getting in the second, in the third, or the
third
phases, right?
Yeah.
Because I always get the waves and the phases all mixed up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do too. Obviously.
Yeah. No, I do because it's phase 1. This is the end of phase 1, and then we're getting into phase 2, right, Chaco?
Yeah.
So there was 9 books in phase 1.
Yes.
Yes. Technically, like for books, but there still are the kid books and
really
comics
and
that I didn't include in here, but we can still definitely touch on.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we're already in it. Let's just jump straight to wave 1, because what's funny is Light of the Jedi actually did take me some time. Not at the very beginning, right?
No, yeah.
They actually released the first 8 chapters early, and so that's what I had read, and I was like, excited. But as it progressed, I started to have a hard time keeping track of the characters.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think that's why I had a hard time with it, is just because it was rough for me to maintain and follow.
No, that makes sense. So the way I did it, so they had released a whole roster of like the characters and what they looked like. And I posted that in the Discord server, and I was like, hey, if anybody struggles with the High Republic, this, like, because for me, it was like a whole new experience, because I hadn't really, there wasn't a lot of Star Wars books that had new original characters that you hadn't seen on screen. Because, I mean, most of the canon material is all based on characters we have seen on screen. Because it's like just thinking of like Boryaga. I was like, okay, so I think of Chewbacca, and then it's like for Stellan, I think of Obi-Wan. Like the characteristics and putting them together gives you kind of a picture. So like that's the part that I struggled with the most is like, okay, I can't really connect with this character because I can't see them, like I can't visualize them. So I thought that was the most difficult part with Light of the Jedi in particular. But yeah.
Okay. Don't get me wrong, I still loved it, but Into the Dark was my jam on this first phase. And also I was shocked at Test of Courage. Because I didn't think that because that one was like a youth reader book, like something I would have typically just skipped. And it had a lot of like feels and like solid content, like it was really
I skipped
good.
that one. I skipped the kid ones. I don't know the kid books.
Okay.
The very youngest readers.
So Test of Courage by Justina Ireland is was just surprisingly, and it just made me get into reading those books as well. As far as the younger ones than that, of the there's like Buryaga at the fair and stuff like that. Yeah, that one have me less interested, but
I like the YA books a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, like Claudia says, Star Wars at its core is young adult.
Yeah.
That's really true. But yeah. What else jumped out at you guys in wave one as far as characters or story telling, and what did you really enjoy?
Like y'all were. Oh, sorry, Luke.
No.
Go on here.
No. So like you guys were saying, like the Jedi part aspect of it is like they just throw so much at you. You're just trying to keep up with like 20 to 30 different characters. Like they do a really good job like splitting them into groups, so you kind of get used to like their characterization at the end of it. But in the beginning, when they're just throwing so many Jedi at you, you're just like, what the hell is going on? But like the Nihil, I felt the opposite with like the introduction of Marchion Ro is like, but it's like weaker. You're just like, oh, you really like pass him over like he's nothing. And then like when the book progresses and like it does that heel turn, you're like, oh, like it's like that when the moment like it clicks in your mind, you're, like when he has like Loden's lightsaber and he's just swinging it around. That's like honestly the most impactful scene of that book. And he just kills that one guy, and he's like, didn't really need him anyway. I was really cared more about the Jedi. You're just like, oh, like we just built this entire story of like getting to this family that it just doesn't really matter. He just really wanted like Loden at the end of it. It just shows like how much of a genius Marchion is in this first book.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I did the audio versions, and the way Mark Thompson does the voice for Marchion Ro
it's the best.
It is the best. But specifically this book, when you realize that a phone call earlier in the book was Marchion Ro, and he did the voice too, and you just didn't notice, and you think back and you're like, oh, like. God, it was just such a big thing. But yeah, how about you, Gray? What else jumps out at you?
The Drengir. I love the Drengir. I think they're great. Everything about them. I love the way they grow, the way they talk, the way they move. And then I one of the things that I just love about the High Republic is the Senteca storyline with Mari. Yeah. Is her name Mari Senteca?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I love everything about that. About her, about how she was taken and all that stuff. And then my favorite part of the High Republic, like the very favorite, is Marchion Ro with Mark Thompson's voice. I'm a really slow, awkward reader, and so I listen to everything on Audible. So he does the majority of the stuff. And I've heard a couple other narrators narrate Marchion Ro, and it isn't Mark Thompson's version.
In my opinion, there's only 3 people that can do the voice, and that's him, Malik and
Yes,
Element 7.
yeah,
Yeah.
True.
Malik's like, oh my goodness, like it's when he did that for your guys's tabletop, it like
Yeah.
it gave me chills. He does a fantastic job of Mark Yonro.
Yeah, for anyone interested, here on the channel, you can view our High Republic themed tabletop adventure.
That's
Um,
cool.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We definitely want to revisit it and revisit those
Chaos.
characters.
Chaos. That's the one word I would say about that is chaos.
We broke the game, and he broke it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. Yeah, and I also I did enjoy the Drengir, and like their big reveal leaves so much stuff that I just need to know. You know what I
Me
mean?
too.
Like I need to know more about the Amaxine station.
Me too.
You know, like why hasn't that come back up?
So do we think in phase 2 there'll be a story about the Maxine? But I don't think so because like I answer my own question when I ask that. But like I don't think so because it in Into the Dark, like it said that the Sith trapped the Drengir there and they haven't been seen since, and we don't know in the timeline canonically we don't know when the Sith were like still like active at this point, because we're unless no, because they said that the Sith haven't been seen in 1,000 years,
A
right?
millennia, yeah.
Well, first of all, I have to shout out to DePaul. I was live with him earlier.
DePaul,
Awesome,
hi.
awesome guy. Always appreciate dropping love. Um, Luke loving the hair. It is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm
flowy.
trying to get it ready
It's feathery.
I'm trying to get it ready for celebration for the Kenobi cosplay, which is going to be based off of the Kenobi show.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
Well, I do want to run my fingers through it. Just saying.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. I don't think I've ever done a podcast without a hat on. So this is like
you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, literally, I'm just like I'm touching my hair and I'm like, wait, there's not
there's not
a hair here.
in here.
Yeah, what the hell? What's going on?
I did want to say one funny thing that I thought was one of my favorite parts of the High Republic, and I'm not the biggest Lorna D fan, and I can't remember which book this was in. I bet you guys would, but remember where she's Auntie D?
That's Out of the Shadows?
Out of the Shadows.
It is.
Yeah.
So I find that just
creepy.
Just hilarious, actually. That this little girl's like, that's my Auntie D, and she's like, oh, she's a little bit crass and rough around the edges, but she's great. And
you don't say. You don't say.
So I really like that.
I thought it was kind of weird when she just started skinning people alive, but she's just funny that way, and you're like, oh, jeez.
No,
especially when it comes off like a rising storm, and you see what she does at like the World's Fair. You're just like, oh god,
yeah.
But like the other thing, like Mark Yonro as a villain, perfect, like perfect. Like people were
the best next to Vader.
Yeah, people were all worried about like, oh well, how are these villains supposed to go up against Jedi? Like they don't use the Force. They're doing just fine without the Force. They're using things that the Jedi haven't seen ever, or the galaxy hasn't seen in a really long time. And I love the fact that Mark Yonro, I mean, I would put him just below Palpatine, because he's got the wit and the smarts and the manipulation part of Palpatine, but he does have that ruthlessness as like a Vader. So it's a good mixture between the two, and it's just like his character is just freaking amazing to listen to, because it's like you come in, you read Light of the Jedi, you're like, oh okay, like the Nihil, like they seem, and then you just at the end of that book you're just like, what the hell?
Right. Like, Knights of the Force, Skier is my favorite New Republic Jedi too.
Yes.
I love him. I love Trandoshan, so.
Yeah.
And his story's great.
our beautiful Lizard King.
Wookiees. Sorry, Wookiee superiority here.
Superiority here.
You know what? Let's see here. I actually meant to click this one. Ro is king. Yeah, we love ourselves some Marco and Ro. About the Sith that being seen in 1,000 years. There's a few, I believe, caveats I would say to that, and the fact that the Sith could be around and just not, just the Jedi in them are just not aware of each other or running into each other. They could very well be, excuse me, active outside of the outer rim. There was a whole thing, like there was a conflict that the Chiss mentioned in one of the Ascendancy books. It was like, oh yeah, remember the whole Sith war that was going on, and like they just dropped weird things like that. But if they hadn't even reached the outer rim, inside of the Republic at this point in time, so it's also possible that they're both out and active, and like I know I'm just saying that there's a lot of possibilities. In that regard, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see, kind of how that all shakes out. But we jump into wave 2, which is where my wife currently is. She
nice.
I feel bad because like I gave her all these books and stuff to read, and she loves them, and she comes home and she's all excited, and then one day she just comes home and she's sad.
So Choco, I have to ask, who's her favorite character so far?
Vernestra.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, definitely Vernestra.
I really dug Burryaga too. I have to say that was an actual
Burry boy. My boy.
That book in general, just I actually was kind of at the end of it. I just sat there like, and then I was like, wait, no, I must have like been like phasing off and not paying attention. I actually rewound the end chapters and listened to it again. I was like, nope, yep, that is what I heard.
Well, okay, we're not there yet. We're
sorry,
Rising Storm
now, but I will say specifically in Rising Storm, with my boy Bell.
Yes,
there was so many like times where it hit me right in the gut. If you know what I'm saying. Like they end that one chapter of like a harpoon just stabs him in the stomach, and you're the chapter's
awful.
up, and you're like,
the hell.
I actually had to rewind that too. I rewound. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't hear that right.
Sir, there is a puppy on that ship. You cannot crash that ship. Like, can't be done.
It's going to be added with like the context of the setup of like, I'm not going to become a knight because of Loden. I need to find Loden and like have him become a knight. And you're just like, and when that happens, you're like, Kevin, what are you doing?
And you know what the best part about Rising Storm was? Like from a book standpoint, like I loved how the chapters were shorter, but they like it made the pacing of the book a lot easier for me to read. Because it's like every 3 pages is a new chapter. But god dang, Rising Storm just like literally, if you thought Light of the Jedi was good, it Rising Storm took it up a like tenfold.
Yeah, that one was rough.
Just like the character building on both sides, like we get reintroduced to Elzar, and like he's fooling around, and it's like, wow, we get Anakin vibes from this, like wow.
Or Rail Averos.
Or Rail. And like it's so funny to just look at that and just be able to contextualize like what Jedis from like the prequel era would be able to fit into this era, because some of them would have. I mean, I truly believe that if Anakin Skywalker would have lived in the High Republic, he would have flourished. He would have done really, really well.
I agree with that. That was the first time I even thought about that.
Yeah,
he would have been just fine.
I mean, they had therapists back in that era.
They
like
weren't
they
so
could literally,
rigid.
they could talk about their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they could have feelings.
Exactly. Like it wasn't. I see. That makes me wonder what happens in phase 3 to change that mindset.
He probably would have been a way seeker, Anakin.
Probably.
Because he likes to do his own thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think or at least Anakin would feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Man, that would have been such a nice story.
I still err on the side of, as long as Palpatine is in his life, he's going down.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Know what I mean?
Palpatine wasn't born at this time.
Yeah, that would have separated them for sure.
Yeah.
150 years in the past.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Also, Elder and Anakin would have been bros.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They would have been like, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you had some fun the other night, and then Anakin's like, where'd you hear that, Elzar? Who's talking?
Two F boys just going around town.
For sure.
Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
Yeah, Jedi business. Go back to your drinks. Like Anakin's got one girl and Elzar Man's got a Twi'lek on the other, and they're just like walking like out of the bar. Like, what the hell is this?
To meet Rail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, that book though. I don't know, man. Like, I think I fall back to that one being my favorite because of so many. Like, there's just so many like key moments of that stand out to me beyond things in most books, and there's just so many of them in that book. Elzar throwing an island into the sea, having the one Jedi, I can't remember his name, fighting Lorna D and throwing coins at her. Having the Jedi riding on the back of the ship, like saving people, like he was Aquaman. There's just so many. Just the phrase, and Elzar Man comes into a battle riding a dragon.
Yes.
Who else would?
Yes.
Like, there's so many of those little
like, or Ty York, like the connection that we have with Ty York. I love Ty, and I hope we see more of her, because we didn't get any of her in Fallen Star, if I remember correctly. Like, there's no mention of her outside of Rising Storm, except for Tempest. Yeah, the comic that she's in.
Yeah.
Is that before Rising Storm or after?
Before. It's a prequel.
Before. Okay, I thought so.
Rising Storm's where Marcion Rowe found the Leveler, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The level, that is the saddest thing in Star Wars besides Darth Vader's turn of anything I've ever even. I actually find it to be just wretched. Like, just the most horrific.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I kind of couldn't believe it was in a Star Wars book, to be honest.
I still have that. I still think my theory is
the scene with Udi.
Oh yeah.
What's your theory?
They age like milk.
Are you talking about the Leveler itself, or the scene with Udi Dis, where he finds it?
Oh well, the Leveler itself.
Okay.
I still think that the Leveler, we have seen some type of Leveler or something similar to it in Rebel Season 2 on Malachor, how everybody is turned to stone. The Leveler has the ability to turn people to stone, but the only issue is that when it turns Loden into stone, he evaporates.
But did it also cut you off from the Force, so you don't even ascend into the Force when you die? You're just gone.
Yes. Yeah.
And to me, that was
tough.
Tragic, man.
No, yeah. I was like, I think I had tagged you, Choco, or brought it up, and I was like, what if this is the same weapon? And I think it could still be, like, the holocron obviously is there in Season 2. Like, that's where it gets its power, but like it also gives off that kind of vibe and stuff like that. But like the Leveler is just game changing at this point. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's I'm curious to find out a lot more. I mean, especially, oh man, I should have added that in wave 3 because we have the Markian Road books,
Oh,
um, which is just really really good as well. But
perfect. The perfect
I loved it.
epilogue. Oh.
And then we have all this craziness and darkness that's happening in Rising Storm, and then all this like lightness in Race to Crash Point Tower that's happening in the same place.
Yes.
And I loved them being able to juxtapose that, where he's just like, I don't even want to go on adventures, and like he's in the middle of like this vast one, and like they're fighting the Drengir and stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think of Race to Crash Point Tower?
I enjoyed it a lot. Like, I can't think of his name. He's in Midnight Horizon.
Ram Jam Ram?
Mechanic. Yeah, Ram. I absolutely love his character because it's just like he sees the Force as like different gadgets and being able to like put things together. And I find that so fascinating because I'm not handy at all, and I would love to be able to do that. And just like his wit, like the ability to like be funny in like such stressful situations, he knows how to like give a joke or like and he's not even like really trying to do a joke. It's more situational, which is just fantastic. Oh yeah, and he says wizard. It's great. It's just fantastic. I love Ram.
Yeah, I love Ram as well. And then we also had Out of the Shadows, also by Justine Ireland. Now, this one wasn't my favorite of the books, but it brought in a lot of really interesting. Like,
it
this
was
is the
one
first...
of my favorites.
Oh, really? I love it. Yeah, it brought in a lot of things. Like they were in league with the Senate, and like they had. Like you didn't realize how far reaching they were until you got to this book and the amount of people that were backing them. And yeah, it's just really interesting. But yeah, I'm curious what all you loved about it, Gray.
Oh man. So I loved that Sylvestri's mom was actually like helping build that weapon, and she didn't even know it or know anything about it, and she just is there. I thought that was super, super fun. I love that, we got the Mari Senteca, and she ends up giving Venestra that last path that she never gives anyone. I thought that was so cool. But I did not care for Venestra keeping a lot of her visions and stuff a secret. What was happening with her, and she wasn't telling anybody. I did not care for that one part of the book. I thought if maybe she had just talked to somebody, it could have gone a little bit better. But yeah, I just thought that was great. And that's when we lose Mari Senteca, and so you got her at the beginning of her being kidnapped, everything that she was doing, everything that's been done to her, and then her finally helping somebody out as she dies. I just thought that was just a wonderful tie-in, and I think that's what I preferred about the book. I did. There was a lot of other things I liked about it, but that was my favorite.
And it's cool that you mentioned that because it really feels like all of these characters have these really unique things about them, but all of them are necessary for something that happens in the future, right? Like Renestra is the only person that could have received that path, in the way that she did it, in the way that she goes into the Force while in hyperspace. And we had something similar happen with Skier. And yeah, I don't know, I just think it's really cool.
I like that there's something for everyone. If you notice, this panel all have different favorites and different people that they like. And if one of us doesn't care for one, the other one I love that it's all encompassing for many different personalities and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the rest of you guys? What'd you think of this book?
Harith, I think you and I have the same kind of feeling about this.
So I have the funniest experience with this book because I read it on a plane, like a 6-hour flight to Florida. So a lot of it just kind of just blends together. I remember a lot of like the big stuff, like Mari dying, and I remember like the Senate stuff, and I remember her getting the last path. But like a lot of the smaller stuff is just like it just blends, and I just don't remember what happened.
I would have to agree with Harith. Like reading, like And the one complaint that I usually usually Star Wars books are like well produced. This one just like I think it's because they were doing so much with Tempest Runner that they were like, we can't make this like quality because it didn't have the music. The voice acting was okay, and like it didn't seem like a Star Wars book at the time. So maybe that threw me off. But I really did enjoy Venestra getting that power, like getting that wave, because it's gonna lead to something.
Yeah.
Is it a path to a planet that we have seen before in canon? Is it the path of, because
I must
I think,
know.
because in
Yeah.
the book, I think it describes it she sees a dark world, if I remember correctly. And it gave me, when I read that, I was like, that reminds me of Exegol. Like that is what reminds me of Exegol.
I actually do remember having that thought of maybe it's
right.
Exegol. I don't
That
remember
makes it even
why I
better.
had it.
No, yeah, because it's like it's like she sees darkness. There's not much light there, and I'm like, wow, like this reminds me so much of Exegol, and it's like, if they're able to tie it into the sequels, that would be freaking amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it would be. Whew. I really do need to get the resolution of that. I was a little disappointed that it didn't really get brought up in the next book with her.
Yes, yes.
but that's totally okay. No, this book though did have, we had a weird electric cat that disappears.
Yes,
I like
that was sick.
That was really cool.
That was
I
sick.
keep thinking that song, Big Electric Cat.
Well,
Never heard of that song, but it felt like a Pokemon to me, and I thought that was cool.
And I also liked how the Santeca like clan was fledged out. We got more of their story. Like there's two like not really warring families, but there's two families in all of the history of canon, like the Santecas, and then I can't remember the other name, but the guy is like a main part of that family at this time, and they were in charge of like getting the wave, getting the paths through hyperspace back in before this book particularly. So I like that dynamic and learning more like that. But it's not one of my favorites. It's necessary, and I think it's very important about what Vanessa Rowe has now with that path. Like, where does that lead? Why does Markion Rowe want it? The graphs. And like I think it's going to be a bigger play. It's going to be in bigger play in phase 3 for sure.
Markion Rowe wants to take the leveler there.
Yes. Sith Temple.
Well, and we'll see if maybe, because
Bye, Montgomery.
Yeah,
Bye,
Monty. Have a good one. Yeah, it just makes me wonder, because we don't exactly know what triggered Mari having these visions and thoughts and stuff like that.
I think they said it was because she was born and like out in like hyperspace or something. I think they were saying, and she had some weird connection due to being conceived and born out there or something, if I remember right.
Oh, I guess I didn't catch it as her being like born out there, but I guess I'll have to revisit it. For some reason, I remember it as she was taken when she was very young, and they were somewhere, and then this started happening.
Oh, I thought they took her because it was happening.
Yeah, and I recall it as the other way around. It started happening, and then they're like, oh, there's something special about her. Okay. And that's when her family kept using her for the prospecting, which also like makes me like, I hope she had a good life with them, you know. but that's a whole side point. before jumping into the final phase, Tempest Runner. Let's talk Tempest Runner and any of the sides. Did you guys have any thoughts? How you feel about Tempest Runner, or things like the Monster of Temple Peak, or
Yeah.
I didn't read Tempest Runner.
Okay.
It's the one I didn't read.
Okay. How about you guys?
Tempest. No, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Harith. No, go ahead.
I really haven't finished it because again, this is like one of those books that just left out, and I can't really do audio dramas because like I like to listen and read at the same time. So like having just to sit there and listen, like I remember listening to the first half of it, and I thought it was really good. The production was outstanding. I thought the way they did like the setup, the chapters of like why am I forgetting the name of the Nile that's like from Rising Storm that gets abandoned and stuck in the bar, and it's just listening to stories of Markon and Lorna. I love that like dynamic of how they set up each chapter. And then Lorna getting taken to the Republic prison, and then like her flashing back into her past, and like little mentions of like, oh, she sharpens her teeth like male, which kind of like hints at her being like transgender and like that kind of stuff. I thought it was like a really good setup. I still need to finish it, but like, I was really enjoying that like introduction with Tempest Runner.
Well, now I want to read it.
Yeah, Lorna.
That was a great. That was great.
No, yeah, Lorna D gets a lot of character development in this in the audio drama, which is much needed because in Rising Storm, she's just the second. You think of her as just second in command. I think it's very, very interesting that she's making plans to overthrow Markion the entire time. Like she's always scheming to become the storm, the eye of the storm. And it kind of reminds you of the Sith a little bit, because as they say, the rule of two, the apprentice always has the urge to destroy the master, and in this case, it's just she wants to be the big man or woman on campus.
What there's the other portion of it too, where as you're going through Tempest Runner, like you start to really like her, and they make her talk about her past and like how she got to this point and all this stuff. And one of the big things is you start to see like good in her, like good qualities, and like as this book is progressing, you're like, is she gonna defect? Yeah, is she gonna turn and like
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have to listen to it now. I feel bad for not being prepared with that book.
It's wild. It's wild.
And again, audio dramas are also not my favorite thing. I like having a narrator. I much prefer having a narrator than to have the narration done via exposition by the characters, because it feels very unnatural sometimes,
It took me a minute to get used to it with Master and Apprentice, but then afterwards I preferred it.
Okay.
I loved
it. Yeah, so definitely I can't wait to hear your thoughts after you check it out.
I
will. All right. Moving to the final set.
Pain.
Pain.
The feels, the emotional damage.
Damn
it.
Emotional damage.
Just
all of it.
God.
What did you guys think of the Justina Ireland book, Mission to Disaster? Did you read that?
I read like a snippet of it, and I found it interesting because I do really like Vanestra. I think she's an interesting character. I just, after Out of the Shadows, I was like, I'm gonna take a break from the YAs for a little bit, because it kind of took a little bit out of me. But like, I'm going to circle around and read that one as well, because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I mean, it acts like it's a direct sequel to Test of Courage, right? It's all those people getting brought back into it. So it's her and Emery, obviously, they find courage, sorry, not courage. They find honesty, and they're searching for the girl that was with them the whole time. But it takes place right before Fallen Star. Like the very tail end of this is Fallen Star, when one of them realizes that some of their family is not legit. They knew a lot more than they had told anyone about what was going on. And it's pretty interesting. But all right, jumping into Fallen Star.
My God, Claudia freaking Gray.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
Jesus.
She was on a mission to rip everyone's hearts out.
But yeah,
Fallen Star was worse than the Red Wedding.
You know what?
It was.
The Red Wedding is tough, though.
It is tough, but this was tougher because it wasn't expected. I expect stuff like that out of Game of Thrones.
I guess that's
true. I am prepared to get punched in the face with Game of Thrones. I'm not prepared with Claudia Gray.
My goodness, just like
it was just such a rough book, man. I mean, I can't even.
Yeah, like honestly, like it's the twists and turns, and you get to really see Markion at his best. Like this is where he supplants himself as one of the baddest men in all of the galaxy. And
he really was badass in this book.
He
just was. And like we get to learn that the Sana Staros's ancestor, or her great aunt or something like that, the senator was a turncoat and was like wanting to like hook up with Markion Ro.
Oh, that's right.
I was like, this lady is crazy. And she doesn't know that he does not give two craps about her at all. Like this moron. But like the way he was able to use the Nihil effectively to bring down the whole light of what the Jedi had started in Light of the Jedi, the Starlight Beacon, and bring it down to its knees is just great storytelling. Just great storytelling. And literally every single chapter, you're like, holy shit, what's gonna happen next?
I agree.
Then another event happens. Like we lose so many freaking people. So many. And it's just like,
I felt like I just got to where I could separate everybody by name and book, and then they all died.
Bam.
I was like, really?
God.
Like I've heard people like claim Fallen Star as horror, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's more suspense than horror. I mean, there are horror elements in the book. Like the chapters of the levers are definitely horror, but like I feel like it's more suspenseful. You're like, what's gonna happen? Like, is it gonna fall? Is it gonna break in half? Like,
I agree with you. Horror is not my genre. Suspense I do enjoy.
No, but you mentioning Gira Staros in that scene. That's how the previous book kind of ends, Mission to Disaster, because the little girl Avon Staros, Gira is her mom, and so she's like, and she's basically like taken by the Nile and being used as one of their scientists, and then they free her, and she's talking about it, and Gira just knows all this extra stuff. She's like, I didn't say any of that to you. Like, the hell's going on? And then we jump in there, and she's like banging Markion.
Or at least attempting to. Markion Ro's just like, okay,
I don't know
whatever.
if he thinks about banging.
No, I just love how Claudia just knew the side of the fandom. It was just like, oh, people like really are like into Markion. I'm just gonna touch that over there and just leave it.
Yes. No, yeah. It is just insane.
All the writers they're like, you know what? We're gonna add some thirst in here. You know what? We're gonna have buckets of blood just get naked for almost no reason.
Yeah, that's right. DJO. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. But like Fallen Star, just even with the promotion, like who will survive? I was like, that's perfect marketing. Because it's literally everybody that we've seen from either the comics, the book, like comics or the books. Like, it's just
It
insanity.
was like the Loden Gramestorm death on repeat.
Yeah.
Just
literally.
You get this one, and that book you were like, oh my goodness, and this book it's like, oh, I can't relax. This is
Bam, bam, bam.
Well, yeah. It's just incredible, like what they're able to do with this book, and it just goes to prove that whatever Claudia Gray writes is a absolutely freaking banger, absolute banger. It's just incredible how well she writes Star Wars, and I'm hoping if we see any High Republic content on screen, it would be nice to see some of these writers get some opportunities at writing some scripts for this High Republic live action show or in the animated.
Well, I was gonna say, did you see on Twitter during Celebration, Charles Soule had screenwriter on one of his like infographic panels, and everyone's like, "What do you mean by screenwriter?"
Yes.
And he said, "I am now Lucasfilm's creative consultant on High Republic projects," and I'm like, "Oh,
yes."
So I'm like, so now he's involved.
I love that. I
Did
love
you
that
guys-
so much.
Did you guys see Element 7's question? He says, I would like the opinion of the prophecy, the panel's opinion on the prophecy. Only through sacrifice of many Jedi will the Order cleanse the sin done to the Nameless. The danger of the past is not past, but sleeps in an egg. That kind of sounds like the Leveler.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they call him the Nameless, and this is the prophecy that comes straight out of Master and Apprentice.
I wonder if they created the Leveler to fit that prophecy, because I never really felt that Vader did. I always thought that was not a good, like, it didn't fit to me.
They started working on concepts and things that would become Project Luminous starting in 2015. So it's been a long time coming, and it predates a lot of these books being written. And I'm curious if some of these Easter eggs, some items in there were Easter eggs placed on purpose, because we at least know some of them were done in Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yes.
Ooh, that was a good one too.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Worried
but
for Keeve.
Yes,
I don't know why I whispered it.
We also got to talk about Geode.
Oh,
I love him. I don't care what anyone says. I think Geode's great.
The man, the myth, the legend. Just
I support
slays.
Geode.
Just slays.
Just
Geode doesn't even care.
I love the writing, especially when I can't remember who was gonna fall, and then all of a sudden they just hit Geode, and I was like, "That's perfect."
Yes.
Like a rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
When what's his name was like, I'm gonna break onto their ship, and he starts to look, and the Geode just standing at the door. It's okay, never mind.
I just imagine the Batman theme just starts playing, and he's just like, nope.
but just, I still think the best Geode moment is when the one pilot's wife was sitting on Geode, and
heck yeah, that was the funniest.
Where's Geode? Where is she? They're not together right now. How? Is this a thing that happens? Geode is just I don't know.
Right place, right time.
Geode's got some moves,
Geode's got some game for sure.
Got some skills.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The women like somebody who's sturdy.
Apparently, strong silent type.
Yeah.
That's so true.
But the way the book ends with,
oh god,
the galaxy is mine.
You're
add the context of Eye of the Storm in there, and that scene just gets enhanced tenfold.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his Palpatine moment. That was his Palpatine. I have created a safe and security society, but it's
way to put it.
He literally says, I have put my foot, I can squash all of you if I want. And the fact that he has illegal droids that have been banned by the galaxy for, I think it was like 200 years prior to this book, and he got his hands on them and he has a whole army, just makes him so freaking it just makes him so dangerous. So dangerous.
Yeah.
But
Which it also makes me wonder is could we potentially get 000 involved in there?
Oh, that'd be
Because
crazy.
That's an old enough droid, right?
he's old, like his like brain matrix was was deemed illegal and was locked away for hundreds of years. I don't know. I'm just saying it could.
That would be fun.
Oh yeah.
A
going
lot of
back
people
to,
would love that.
Yeah, yeah.
But going back to like Markion's speech, the context of the Eye of the Storm of Lena So listening to it and going, "Wait, that's the guy," because like the way he's like, because she mentions that even because they say False Star, he's about to say ours when he flicks to mine, and she points that out. She's like, this is the man that's been running everything from the shadows. We got to kill him. And like when they jump into hyperspace and he just takes them all out, you're like, oh. Just like in that sequence, you're just like, oh my god, Markion is just this like I said, it's like the darkest epilogue for the High Republic Phase 1. Just watching Markion take out like Republic ships, you're just like, oh my god, nothing's gonna stop him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
And it's cool that like Markion wasn't really made as like the main guy. Isn't the Eye wasn't like the main person. He just supplied the path. The main people were Lorna, and the other two dudes.
I can't remember their names. They escape me, but the guy gets his ass kicked in
The really big one and
in Rising Storm, and then he comes back in Tempest
Runner.
Runner.
Yeah.
So I like how it was like those guys were the main bad guys, but then all of a sudden, kind of like the Palpatine comparison, you've got Marchion Ro like puppeteering in the back.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's that specifically that scene back in Rising Storm, where the guy is about to cause a mutiny, and Markion is just like, he just has to BS his way through it, of like, because he knows like, oh, he could kill me right now. That's possible. Or I could give this big old speech and galvanize the whole group and have them like
like the way he's able to like adapt and change on a dime, like it just shows like he could like shift his plans if he has to, if like anything happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the scene that I always come back to in Fallen Star though is when Elzar is going down in the ship.
Oh, God,
and it's getting closer and closer to the creature, and like what's going on in his mind, and like you swear he's going to like if it was going any slower, he probably would have gotten taken out. But like, I don't know, that scene is just gut wrenching for me.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Going back to Elzar, I have to talk about the scene where he kills Yarrow, because like that was the scene I was like, okay,
so one moment, dude, you just destroyed the only chance to survive, my guy. What are you doing?
Right there is what defined Elzar for me as my favorite character, because like the way like his like what have I done, like his what have I done scene, and he like when he kills her and he's like, oh.
He's like, oh shit, I have really messed this up now. Like it, and I like the way that it instantly hits him, and it's just like he is an instant like, oh my god, what have I just done? And even when he survives at the end and he talks to Avar, like he knows, like there's a little voice that he inner monologue that he has, and he's just like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to tell Avar, like what am I going to do about this? Like they're gonna look at me differently. Like I have taken a life, an innocent life. No matter how I can justify this, like there is no justifying it. That's what his thought is. It's like he took a life, and that is not the Jedi way, and now he has to live with it. It's incredible how they just came up with the concept. Like it's very much, and that's why I think he's very much like Anakin, except he sees the flaws in him and he tries to fix them. Where Anakin is just like, whatever, and I'm just gonna do my own thing.
I'm just gonna bury it in a closet
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'm just gonna bury my feelings, not talk about it. But like he realizes it, and it's incredible.
And then also a shout out to Johnsky. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I always makes me chuckle because this program spells out the sticker rather than shows it. But no, definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you guys see Dune Download says that Elzar speaks to Luke about his darkness in the Star Wars comic, and that's pretty dang cool.
That's a good comic because
it is a good comic. I just forgot that part.
You see not only Elzar, you see Obi-Wan, you see Yoda, you see Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon and Avar next to each other.
Yes, it's just freaking phenomenal.
Speaking that Yoda is in, I just wanted to say that Yoda is in these books. Not much, just a little bit here and
references.
there. That is one of my favorite things about this. Because I love Yoda. I love Yoda, how he just spans over everything and he's always there. And I would love to know more about Yoda, but it just adds some more dimensions to that little guy and his species that I adore more than anything.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we have Midnight Horizon as well.
Yes.
And this book, it took me like 3 times to get it started. Yes. I kept falling off. I kept forgetting who the characters were. And
I'm listening to it right now. I'm still in the beginning of it. It's actually being played right now for me, so I don't have much to say on that one.
Okay. But as the story moves forward and the ball gets rolling, it's incredible. Like this story is so meaningful, and the little vignettes we get are just awesome. I know. How do you guys feel about it?
I had the funniest experience with Midnight Horizon. So I read it from day one. I got almost to near the end of it. I had like 100 pages left, and then I had the ARC for Queen's Hope come in, so I had to take priority.
Oh God, yeah.
So I never.
That's why I'm not done with it either.
Yeah, Queen's Hope kind of took priority. Not to say that Midnight Horizon isn't a great book. It is. It's a fantastic book, and the fact that we get Corellia in the High Republic era, and how important it is even in the High Republic era. It's still the shipyards. Like the shipyards are always, no matter what era you are in, Corellia is always and will always be known as shipyard. As a shipyard planet, and that's why it's important to the Republic, and that's why it's important to the Empire later down the line, because that's where most of their cruisers and ships are all made. So it's interesting to see that, and the relationship between Ram and Reith, and Comac. Just like it's so well done. It's so well done.
I feel like this book captures the heart of Jedi so beautifully, because this book is essentially all of them talking about their insecurities and their flaws and what's going on in them. Your Ram is like, I feel numb, I don't feel anything, and Reith is like, I feel everything. It's so much.
Yeah.
And the way that they talk to each other and they handle the stuff and move past it, because this is on every level. We're getting this from Zine and from Lula and from this book to me really dives into what the heart of Jedi truly is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel like also at the same time, like touching on Comac, I feel like Comac is probably one of the most underrated Jedi in this era because
I would agree.
Because we stepped over to the scene Into the Dark at the end when he's talking about the philosophy of the Jedi being flawed and how they're kind of closed off with the Force. I thought that was such an interesting I was like, where's he gonna go next? And then
I agree. I love Comac.
Yeah, and then Out of the Shadows barely touch him, and then Midnight Horizon from whatever barely touched him as well. So I was like, I want more.
he gives off Qui-Gon vibes.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
He gives off Qui-Gon vibes because he's like the Force is different. Like he sees the Force differently than everybody. Like they all see it differently, but he sees what the Jedi end up becoming in the prequels. He straight up predicts that if the Jedi don't change their way, it's going to hurt them down the line, and that's what ends up happening. Yeah, I would agree. Comac is very, very underrated as a Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the only problem is that there are too many unique and awesome characters all together that we can't give them all the right amount of love, But but as Julia Christine says, Reith is best boy.
Yeah.
Hi, Julia.
All right. So on that, we'll keep it light because there's certain things I just want Gray to experience on her own in this book.
Oh, it's okay. I don't want to change your guys' layout just because I didn't make it through a book because I got preoccupied with the Queen's Hope one. So you guys, you're okay.
Not at all. Not at all. We actually are getting along when it comes to time, and I am curious on how you guys feel about us going back another 150 years, and if you're excited for any of these books that we have gotten announced so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. So which one is the main adult one? Is that Convergence?
Yes.
Yes, Convergence is going to be the adult one. Path of Deceit is going to be interesting.
Quest of the Jedi is a Claudia Gray comic.
Yeah.
Oh heck!
What?
That's the Dark Horse comic, right?
Yep, Dark Horse.
Yeah,
so that's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting.
Sorry, I'm very excited for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then we got what am I forgetting his name? I had his name and I just lost it. Charles Soules. He introduced him in Light of the Jedi. I feel so bad forgetting his name.
Oh no, yeah. I can't think of it either. Crap.
The Blade of Bardata?
Yes. The whole prequel comic series. I can't wait to see Charles Soule, how he's going to adapt that with the Blade of Bardata and what he's going to do with that, how he's going to explore his past. And we were talking about it earlier. We think that Phase 2, because they mentioned in Light of the Jedi that the Jedi and Togruta were in war 150 years ago. We're like, that conveniently lines up with Phase 2. So it's going to be the Jedi versus Togrutas.
That would be great.
And additionally, there is some other stuff because Yoda disappeared early on in the High Republicanist phase, and he was hanging out with the people from the religious group that Zine was a part of. I need to know where he went. I need to know what happened. There's so much, but it's funny because everything that there was a lot of stuff that they hinted at. So the masks, the costumes or disguises that they wore in Midnight Horizon.
Yeah.
Those people were around 150 years ago. There was what else was there? The Kyuzo Jedi that's friends with Maz Kanata. We're gonna get her as as a Padawan 150 years ago, which that's also amazing. Gives us an idea of how long they live.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the quest for the hidden city is a hyperspace prospector story, which means it probably has the Sentekas in it, and it could even be Mari Senteka's story. And think of how much stuff could be in that book. That one looks really good too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. More Santecas, please.
Mm-hmm.
I really do hope that is like it is the two families like looking for
Like a
some
Yeah.
type of legendary city that's they have to get through by hyperspace prospecting.
And think there's gonna be like hidden stuff in the city, like Indiana Jones, Star Wars.
Yeah, Indiana Jones. That'd be sick. That would be cool.
It is. It's gonna be so good.
The thing I love about this so much, and this comes with any prequels, and I think why prequel stories are much easier to tell than sequel stories, because there is a lot less expectations, right? All of our heroes from the original story are like children, right? Or not born yet, right? So it's easy to tell stories about other people without expecting those people to take over versus sequels where everyone wants to hear more about these other characters, but you're like, no, but they're really old now. Like, I don't know, but I think this is just interesting because I've never seen anything like this happen in storytelling.
Yeah, especially coming off of Fallen Star, and you're just like, I want to what? Why are we going back 150 years?
Is it what's gonna happen next?
Like, come on, you can't do this to me. Like, what the hell?
You can't end with the galaxy is mine, and then like
so the next books are these ones in 150 years before. So we're still not gonna know Vanessa Rose path.
Nope.
Or it's
Okay.
gonna have Elzar and
All
Avar
right.
after Stellan's death. Like, nope, we're not gonna learn anything about that.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. It's rough.
Where's
where is
Tyoric?
Tyoric?
There
Is
he
she
is.
safe?
Yes. Is she all right?
But like I said, I've never seen or heard of anyone doing anything like this before in storytelling. All of this is like there's no precedence. There's no characters that really need to be other places, so you can be like, well, this person's not going to die, and there's no, everything is up in the air.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Everybody's on the table.
And the way Luke described it when it got announced is like they're doing the Skywalker saga basically. They're doing the originals, the prequels, and then a sequel.
Oh.
That's what they're doing in the three
Just
phases.
a continuation. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it is like this is their original trilogy of the High Republic
It
prequel,
rhymes.
then sequel. It's just typical Star Wars. It's got to rhyme somehow, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean there's going to be a time jump when they do the sequel stuff, and we're not going to find out exactly what happens next? We're going to have to like put the pieces together.
So didn't they say that the whole High Republic is like from beginning of High Republic, so like phase 2 to phase 3, so like phase 2 to phase 1 to phase 3 is a whole span of 200 years? Because if they're jumping another 150 years, that's 350 years, right? Or is my math off?
First one was 200, then 150. Yeah, 350.
So 350. So we're 350 out into the past. So the other thing is, yes, we haven't seen a whole lot of Sith. We only got little mentions of them here and there in the comics and Into the Dark. I saw Julia's question earlier. Do we eventually see Sith go into being the background characters all along like we're used to? Or do you think that they will keep the Nihil, the big bad in phase 3, and have the origins of the Nihil be brought up in phase 2? Like what do you think the Sith's interaction is going to be on here?
I would love it if basically the Nihil would succeed, except they blew a couple key missions, or so, like one of the Tempest runners just made a few of these like big mistakes, and then it turns out that Tempest runner was a Sith who needed them to lose so that they wouldn't have to fight two enemies in the future. And just no one ever knew. No one ever found out. They just like kind of slinked off and
that's pretty
back to the
Sith-like.
Yeah, but also I feel like, oh sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I feel like at the same time with the Sith, I feel like since we have the Acolyte as like the end game for the High Republic, I feel like they're
That's
just
what I was gonna
saving it
say.
to the very end. I feel like we're gonna see like I think Chalky said it before in your podcast of like what you think is gonna happen with Acolyte is it's gonna be them looking at the past of like all of these big events and being like, oh, this is how we just beat the Jedi. We just pushed all this together.
The Acolyte is going to tie into the High Republic.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. It's gonna be 50 years before the Phantom Menace.
I didn't know that, and that's very nice to know. So,
Oh yeah. It's gonna
where
be
have I
50
been
years.
under a rock?
No, no, not a whole lot of people know that. But like, okay, so Chaco, think about this. Palpatine and Plagueis. I mean, Palpatine's born during the High Republic, technically, right?
Yeah.
Or is he a little? Or is he
No,
a little after?
He. I mean, because technically, like Dooku Jedi Lost is arguably the very end of the High Republic.
And he's in college, isn't he?
He's like a spring chicken. I mean, the dude was like 80 when we saw him. So
No, so then
Yeah.
like think about that. Maybe the Acolyte is Plagueis's master, and we get their backstory because isn't it a female lead or binary lead, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I thought it was female.
it's a female led.
Female led.
What's the goal? Yeah.
So maybe we make Tenebrous a woman, and we get Plagueis, and
Maybe.
then we get if it's a couple of seasons, then we get the relationship between Plagueis and Palpatine, and maybe that's where we get the connection because they said it's going to connect to Phantom Menace. So I mean,
okay,
we'll see.
Hopefully, we find out a lot more information in like 3 weeks.
Yes.
Or
I just thought of something. If this is 150 years before, that would make Yoda Grogu's age, and maybe we'll find out how that he was found or something.
I hope they don't touch that. That's the one part about Yoda species. It's like I don't really want to know.
I would love to know, and I don't like that we don't touch that part of it. I seriously want to know. I want to see Yoda as Grogu's age, and this is like the perfect thing for it. That would be great.
Because Yoda would be 450? 450?
Yeah,
well,
450?
Isn't he 300 right now in these books? And so if it's 150 years... so he would be a little older than that. I guess.
I think he's closer to
500
years old during phase 1 of the High Republic.
Oh, I thought he was younger. Sorry about that.
I thought he was okay, hold on. 642. Good job, Element. So 642. So he's 300 years younger than what he is in the Phantom Menace then?
Oh. Okay, yeah. I was way off. Never mind.
But no, yeah.
I thought he was 600 when he died, but I think he's 900.
He's 900.
Yeah. So I got confused there.
No, you're good.
But man, I hope we get a lot more information at that celebration when it comes to this. Gray, are you coming down?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't get to go to celebration.
Why not?
I didn't have the money or time. I have a medically, like, my kid requires a lot and doesn't really allow me to go anywhere.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I do get to go to local Comic-Cons. I go to like the Ace Comic-Con here, and before COVID, Obi-Wan was supposed to be there, and I was all ready with my cosplay and everything, but then COVID happened, and so I'm hoping that this year it'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you would definitely be missed because I know these other two strapping gentlemen will be with us.
You guys are all going, like everybody from TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you all.
It's gonna be fantastic. I might not look enthused right now, but I am like jumping. Like this is all like
this is all gonna be your guys' biggest time of your lives.
No, if Star Wars Celebration like gets canceled.
And you get to meet all you guys.
You're not gonna hear from me. I will just fall off the face of the earth because I am not not gonna meet Ewan McGregor. I'm sorry, that's just not gonna happen.
That's what I'm trying to do at Ace Comic-Con. I'm hoping he comes.
Did you see that they're also doing some like package things, like a Clone Wars package one? And
so here's the thing. So funny story. When I was buying that meet and greet, Nada Kyber and me were talking about it, and she didn't get a meet and greet. And Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor is very, very important to her. And Harith was on, I think I was on a VC call with him while I was talking to her. I was like, just come with me. I don't care. Like,
no,
it's
I was
gonna
like,
be fun.
I was like, Luke, why don't you just split it with her? I was
yeah. No, yeah. Harith goes, why don't you just split it with her? And I was like, check into logistics of that. I will do that if that's possible. So now her and I are gonna go see Obi-Wan, and if Hayden gets announced, which I'm assuming he will probably get announced tomorrow, in all reality, I think we're gonna split a Hayden autograph. So we'll get to see both of them, which is exciting.
Nice.
I'm very happy for all you guys.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast, and Chaco gets to defend his title.
Oh yeah.
Next time it's like in the California side of the United States, I'm sure I'll be able to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when it's all the way on like the East Coast, I won't be able to go.
No,
no, it's same. I'm actually really happy for all the East Coast people who are coming here, because I hate it's because I'm so spoiled being here in California. Why would I go over there when I already live here and it'll come to me eventually? Like, doesn't make any sense.
I feel that. I mean, I'll be going to the East Coast hopefully next year when they have it as well. So that's the plan. The plan is from here on out to just make this a yearly thing. Because why not?
Hey, yeah, exactly. Why not? You know, if this ends up going off well, then as well as we already know it's going to be, I just can't wait for karaoke with y'all.
Yes. I love to be the backup dancer when people sing karaoke, and I'm not a good dancer at all.
Yes. Just belting out.
But I do. I get all into it.
Out here going like this, like she's just dancing
with no rhythm. Yeah.
That's great.
Like I can dress nice and can't dance.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we will go ahead and bring this to a close. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys. It's always a pleasure talking Star Wars and High Republic. Let the good people know where we can find you and your awesome content. And if you have any closing thoughts. We'll end it with where we can find you, closing thoughts, and the character that you are most like from the High Republic. All right, can we do that?
Yeah.
All right, I will go to Harith first.
As I said earlier in the episode, you can find me on Harith Productions on TikTok, and They Fly Now show on YouTube every Monday at around the same time around High Ground. And we talk about different Star Wars topics each week, varies from week to week. This week, I think it's current state of Star Wars, where we just talk about everything current. So we'll find something to talk about there. And High Republic character, I had to think about it for a little bit while rambling, but I would say probably Wreath. I would tell you I'm the most like Wreath, just like generic scholar, young teenager, just reads a book.
I love it. And yeah, so definitely everyone check out They Fly Now Mondays. I did watch a good amount of the episode this Monday, and it was just the vibes. It was always just good stuff. So appreciate you, Harith, and what you bring to the community. How about you, Gray?
Which is the New Republic guy that can feel everything? My brain is not
Emery.
I would say I'm most like Emery. My heart hurts when anything is anywhere going wrong. I have too much empathy, and the world can bring me down. So I would say that one. What I would have to say is if you're on the fence in starting the High Republic, it's worth a listen to, or a read if you read or listen. Worth giving it a shot anyway. And
Absolutely.
and I'm Donna the Gray on TikTok.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here. I know it's been a while. We have to have you on more often.
I will be here anytime.
Yes. And last but not least, we have Luke.
All right. So after hearing those two, I'm gonna give my answer of the typical Anakin Stan answer, and it's Elazar Man because I relate to that guy too much. Just I make mistakes and I know I did it wrong, but at least I talk about it, and that's where I am.
I thought it was because you're out here making it rain.
I mean, not as lucky as Elzar. We got to work on that, but hey, who knows? Uh, uh, yeah, we'll just go with that. But you guys can find me at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Pod on Instagram, and Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter. Like Gray said, go check out the High Republic. It's great stuff. If you are tired of the Skywalker saga, too many Skywalkers, go read this. Go deep dive. You'll find some awesome characters and an amazing diversity, which I wanted to say. There's a lot of different diversities and a lot of different groups that are represented.
Thank you for saying that.
And I absolutely freaking love it because it's about damn time that Star Wars there are more people represented in the fandom in their content.
I 100% agree.
Oh yeah. You can obviously Thursday nights. Chaco will be defending his title here at Celebration. TBD on what the plan is for that. Matches are coming out the next one should be coming out here soon. Harith has been kind enough to do some editing, so shout out to him for doing that for us. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and thank you again, Chaco, for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I would say I identify with Emmerich. And no, it's not just because he's black. Emmerich Kaftor, just in the way that his mind works in deducing things and the logical way with which he approaches the world around him, I just really, really identify with. I've always been most detective related stuff because I'm very I know it takes longer, but I'm always into deductive reasoning versus inductive because it takes longer, but it's right. So I think it's worth it. But I just like Luke said, I will be defending my trivia title against whomever is able to rise to the top. And just so y'all know, I have been studying. I've been in the lab trying to make sure that I'm going to approach this by giving full deference and respect to my opponent. And
but we got to see some pizzazz. We got to see some. We got to get that. We got to see that trash talk. We got to see that entertainment, man. I need to see it from you. I know you're nice, but I need you to come on. Let's throw some punches.
Can Chaco trash talk?
He
trash talk last time.
He can.
He can.
But he pulls the punch so that it's
I can't trash talk.
I hope I didn't hurt you. If it's you in Element, gotta throw haymakers, man. Gotta throw haymakers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Don't.
Because if he for a fact he ain't gonna hold back.
Oh no!
He's being coached, so we know he's not holding back.
That's not fair.
No, it's fair. It's fair. But Andrew DiMolanta is the reigning champion of Star Wars trivia on the Schmodown.
He got the GOAT coaching him.
So with that in mind, he just might have a chance.
Yes.
Here's some smack talk.
We are cutting that for the next promo. Don't you worry, folks. This is going to be entertaining.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you once again. Appreciate it for everyone that's out here. If you want to, give the stream a like, I really appreciate it because that really does help. And yeah, make it. I can reach out to Alex and have him coach me.
You got to at this point to make it fair.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thanks again, and we will see you all back here next week.